at some point in your life, you are going to make a mistake. It might be small, it may be big, but at the end of the day, you made a mistake, and it's something that you're going to be able to own up to, regardless of the situation. The truth of the matter is that this is something that should be normalized, okay? Everyone is human, okay? Everyone is going to have different experiences, different thoughts, and different ideas of how they want to go about their day, and they will do actions that could have consequences and that could lead to a mistake. I think the first thing that everyone is going to automatically think is, holy crap, am I really that stupid? Like, why did I do that kind of thing? And you're going to have these like thoughts of like self-doubt and self-blame, and that is just going to eat you up from the inside. Recently, I could say I made a pretty big mistake in terms of like relationships. I'd say I just rushed into one like too fast. It was great, by the way, and there was nothing wrong with it. It's just I just realized maybe this is not gonna work, because although I thought really carefully, very, very, very carefully before going into it, I realized that as it was going on, that there was a lot of incompatibilities and there was certain things that wouldn't fit with me and my personality. And so that's why I came to the decision to end it, just because long term it just would not work out on paper. Ultimately, it was two factors that were pushed together, and so that's why I did what I did. And now I'm here thinking to myself like, damn, why did I do all of that? Why didn't I really, really think this through? I should have like done this, I should have done that. You're having all these thoughts. You'll be thinking to yourself, I could have done better, okay? You have this guilt setting in. But, ultimately at the end of the day, you gotta move past it, okay? I guess the first thing I realized was the only thing I could do in this current moment is not beat myself up, because realistically, it's like that's not gonna get me anywhere. But I need to be very aware of my actions and to realize that I have to face it. I have to deal with it. I have to process these emotions and these thoughts that come after with it, and then fully reflect on the decision I made. So I guess the whole point is literally just take accountability of whatever mistake you made. Just don't linger, don't dwell on it, don't do all of this like self-hate on yourself. Like, it's not worth it. You understand what you did, but you're not a bad person, okay? It's not like you intentionally meant to do bad or harm. And if you did intentionally do bad, then that's a part of yourself where you have to reflect a lot more, because that's a whole different story. But we're just going with the idea that you unintentionally did bad. And this goes to the next idea, where I do think mistakes don't define who you are as a person. Like, I know back then, people would do certain things and you would automatically think, wow, that person did this, they're a bad person. Or they did that, holy crap, they're like so bad. Like, I remember in high school, I would hear stories of, you know, kids being bad, that were around my age and my grade. But, they just messed up. They just messed up big time because they weren't raised properly. They didn't have the opportunities that I had growing up. And so that's why they went down the wrong path. But who's to say that maybe, years later, like when we're like fully grown adults and we have a full-time job, that person may be doing a lot better than what I'm doing right now, because they really worked hard to switch their life around. That happens. It's not like your life's over once you messed up big. Once again, as long as you didn't do anything illegal, you could technically really bounce back. You could reflect. You have a chance to restart, I guess. And as long as you always have a chance to restart, you could always make a better name for yourself no matter how bad you mess up. Like, think about Logan Paul. Okay, this guy literally went to a forest where a lot of people, unalive themselves, and he recorded it. Like, he literally recorded a person who unalived themselves. And that sparked a lot of controversy in 2018. He went like MIA for a little bit, but then look at where he is now. You could hate him, fair enough, but look at the life that he built after that event. You got to respect it in a way. Like, he did come back. Most people end up just like kind of giving in and just giving up their career because they messed up so badly. And a lot of other people do mess up really, really badly. But at least this guy, he's trying to move forward. He did take accountability in some sort of way, and he's living on with his life. I think as long as the person learns their lesson, like if they understand what they did, they process it and they don't keep on repeating the same mistake, then I honestly think it's fine. In a way, it's like, okay, if that person hurt another person and that person never chooses to forgive the person that hurt him, that's fine, you know? But I do believe in second chances. You know, I do believe in people are good, you know? I still have faith in humanity, and that even if someone were to make even a bit of a mistake, that as long as you both are willing to work together, or you're willing to work on yourself to fix the problem, then honestly, the world would already be a better place if everyone had that mindset. Now, the biggest thing is how you feel internally, okay? Let's just say that you solve the problem on an external level, right? Like, say you made a mistake with another person. You apologize to them, you know, you set your boundaries and you're cool with them. Or like, let's just say you made a big mistake on yourself, you know, and you're just saying, oh, I'll be fine. But realistically, the problem happens more internally, right? The idea that you just can't forgive yourself for a certain thing that you did. And this is honestly the hardest part, like by far. I always hear people who tell me their regrets of making a mistake, and they always say, man, I just can't live with myself doing this or that. And I'm just like, you know what? Lesson learned. At the end of the day, you didn't intentionally mean to do it. Okay, you're not a horrible person. You're not evil. You're not malicious. You know, some people aren't in the right mindset, or they just don't know how to convey their emotions or communicate their problems properly. So it just creates a lot of communication issues. You know, that's fine. You know, even within yourself. You know, maybe there's some things that are like a part of you that you just don't really know how to communicate with, and that's really important. Like, you got to be able to know who you are as a person. So it's like you don't make certain mistakes, if that makes sense, right? I think like admitting to what you did out loud and internally is the first step, obviously. That's like accountability. The next step, I'd say, is to really just accept that, you know, once again, we are all human. And let's be honest, okay, humans could be quite disgusting at times, you know, but you're not going to be that, okay? You're going to be much better than that. You could change. You're capable of change. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, you can't change as a person. Like, once you do a mistake, that's who you are now. No, that's not the case, okay? You could always do better, okay? Just focus on what you did, okay? Don't let the guilt get to you. At some point, it'll go away as you start to take proper action to get better, you know? Maybe just talk to a friend, you know? Talk to somebody about how you feel. If it's like an external or internal mistake that you did, or I don't know, talk to a therapist. That's also a great idea. You know, there's always resources that are willing to hear you out and to help you. You just have to be able to reach out your hand and willingly give it a shot. So yeah. And remember, guys, at the end of the day, these mistakes are going to make you a more wiser and more stronger person. Like I said before, you know, it's kind of humbling in a way. You know, you have to take a couple of steps and fall off a little bit, and then, you know, get back up and remember, hey, you know, I'm not going to repeat the same thing that I did before, and it's not going to happen again. But if it does, you know, that just means you need a little bit more work on yourself, and that you could always change as a person. I think some of you guys are a little bit too hard on yourselves, you know, like, I get it, you know, something that you did may feel horrible or unforgivable, or just like, damn, I could have done better. But people are meant to fail, okay? You're meant for failure, so then you could learn. Because if we didn't do failure, and that wasn't a thing, then this entire world will not be what it is now, okay? Everything that happened until this current moment in this point in history was all due to mistakes. So remember this carefully, guys. Be kind to yourself, okay? You are living for the first time in your life. You deserve happiness. So take it easy. Don't be too hard on yourself, and take care. But other than that, that's going to be the end of the video. I hope you guys really enjoyed this one. Don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace!